guys, hi, how's it going? How you doing today? Hopefully today finds you well. Today I am doing a video that I did in 2019, I do believe, and it was 20 of my favorite products from 20 different brands. And it was started by Jen Love back then, and it was like 20 of our favorite products by 20 different brands in 20 minutes. And I'm not promising you 20 minutes today, although I am going to try and be speedy about it. I'm not going to give you the true tea representation of how I, like the blurb of how I feel about all these products, but I am going to give you some insights into these products for me. I am doing this again, and I'm splitting it up to those items that I can buy at Sephora, the items that I can buy at Ulta, and then I also have a hair brands one on here too. So let me know if you're interested in the hair brands one, because for those of you who don't know or who are new here, I am Donna. I am a field leader for Ulta Beauty, and a large part of what I operate over is services in our stores. So I have a lot of the hair knowledge that I never in a billion years thought I would ever have. So there's that. Get a lot of education in my position. I like to bring you that education, but true tea, I just like to talk about makeup and hair care and skincare and all the wonderful high-end beauty stuffs that are out there. So today we are doing the 20 of my favorite items from 20 different brands that I can purchase at Sephora. I'm going to try and be speedy about it. If it sounds like something you're interested in, please keep on watching. All right, guys, so I have 20 products here from 20 different brands that you will only find at Sephora or their own website. And these are products that I still go to Sephora to purchase. And I'm finding that that's kind of few and far between these days. Like Ulta Beauty is getting an awful lot of, you know, the makeup brands that were at one point in time only housed at Sephora. So there's still quite a bit, but there's also that list is getting a little bit less every single year. So let's start, and I'm going to start with Charlotte Tilbury. When I think through the lens of Charlotte Tilbury, there's a lot that I like from Charlotte Tilbury, but my absolute favorite product, and the product that I have repurchased and I'm now almost in a place where I could repurchase another one, is the Charlotte Tilbury Lip Cheats. This red lipstick isn't a love of my life, but it's in my Shop My Stash, so I thought I needed to use it. It's been in my Shop My Stash for 100 years, I feel like, but up until wearing this red lipstick today, this is the lip product that I've been using. I put this on, I put a gloss on. This lasts all day, and it's super creamy. It goes on the lips beautifully. There is no pulling. No, that scared me. There's no pulling, there's no tugging, there's none of that happens. It's a very creamy formula, but it lasts for a long time. I do line my lips and then fill my lips in with that same lip liner and then just put a gloss over the top of it. And I have found that this is the perfect shade for me and my lips. This is in Iconic Nude, and this is what it looks like. And that would be my favorite Charlotte Tilbury item that I have used so far. So you guys, I have to be honest with you, there's two items that I no longer have in my collection at the moment. So let's do those real quick. So the first one would be Ciate London. So there is a primer by Ciate London that I absolutely love, that I was introduced to through IPSY, I do believe, and it is the Ciate London Watermelon Burst Hydrating Primer. This primer is much like that of like the Milk Makeup Hydro Grip, in that it is a sticky kind of grippy primer, but it also has like these black beads in it that make it look like watermelon seeds in the packaging. And I love this primer. It was super hydrating to my skin. I used it up and really regretted having used it up because I really did love it. And I gave my mom a sample size of it, and she also loved it. So that tells me I'm not the only one out here loving on this primer, but it's a really good primer. I did feel like my makeup lasted longer, but also I felt like my makeup looked good, and that's not something I always get from a gripping primer. So from Ciate London, the Watermelon Burst Hydrating Primer would be my favorite item. And then from Pharmacy, I have the Green Clean. So I really want to try the apple one. I haven't tried it yet. And I honestly, the last time I was on there, I don't think I saw it. I know it was a limited edition one, But regardless, the Green Clean is such an amazing balm cleanser. It takes everything off your skin and doesn't leave your skin feeling dehydrated or super dry after use. You don't have to like let it sit on your skin for any amount of time, and it is really kind to your eyes, which is something that has to happen for me to be able to love a balm cleanser. I love that one. I love the Clinique Take the Day Off balm, but I can get the Clinique one at Ulta, which is why it's not in this list. But that is a wonderful balm cleanser. It's got a really nice minty scent to it, and it doesn't burn my eyes, nor does it burn my skin. It doesn't leave any kind of fogginess in my eyes when I utilize it, and it truly does take everything off. So that would be the item from Pharmacy that I really, really love. Next, I have Cinema Secrets. You guys know I go back and back and back again to Sephora for this item alone. I will continue shopping at Sephora for this item alone if this is the lone standing item that is left at Sephora at the end of the day. This will be something that I continue to purchase from Sephora. It's like $42 for this giant jug. I use this makeup brush cleaner though every single day. I use it in between like big washes on my brushes, but I wash my brushes with this after every single use. So it's really nice and gentle to my brushes, yet also cleans. It's got a 99.9% bacteria ridden promise, but it is a professional makeup brush cleaner that I just think works so well, and it's quick drying, so you can wash your brushes and then use them right away. It's also got kind of a vanilla scent, but it's very chemical vanilla. Don't get me wrong, you still smell the chemicals on it, but it is a wonderful makeup brush cleaner. I will purchase it over and over again. I think this is probably the 12th bottle of it that I've had in my collection since starting to do makeup 5 years ago. The next thing I have on here is Dior, and for me, I kind of went back and forth between this product and another product, but when it came down to it, I just used this product more, and that is the Dior Powder No Powder. This was made famous by Samantha March. I hate it because it gets hard pan in it, and I feel like I have to get the hard pan off every single time I use it, or close to every single time I use it. But honestly, it's just such a magical, beautiful powder that does really crazy things to perfect your skin. I have the shade 3N, and I don't ever want to be without this powder. And I'm not a powder person, so the fact that I love, love, love a powder and it is landing on my 20 favorite items from 20 brands at Sephora is shocking, but that is the truth. Like, it's just, there's something magical about it. I also have a product from Huda Beauty, and some might say Huda's eyeshadows are their favorite thing, and while I would have to agree, I love Huda Beauty's eyeshadows, I do find that her eyeshadows are just a smidge bit inconsistent, and from palette to palette, you never know what you're kind of going to get. And with Huda, that is quasi okay because she likes to play with formulas and do different things with formulas that, you know, aren't the realm. But when I say inconsistent shadow to shadow, I mean like even her mattes shadow to shadow are pretty inconsistent. So this isn't about products that I don't love, because I do love her eyeshadows, but it is about products that I absolutely think are the best from the brand, and for me that would be the Huda Beauty liquid lipsticks. I hate liquid lipsticks, but these are amazing liquid lipsticks. I love them because they are moussey enough that you can get them on your lips without like any kind of like feeling dry about it, but also moussey enough that you could do a double layer without it getting kind of like cakey or gross on your lips. These also give you enough time that if you are problematic with liquid lipsticks, if you struggle, these give you enough time to kind of manipulate them and finesse what you need to do for them to be working on your lips. And then once they dry down, they are a comfortable dry. I don't feel like my lips are worse for wear after wearing these liquid lipsticks, and that cannot be said about many a liquid lipstick. So I really, really love Huda's liquid lipsticks. The next brand I have is Laneige, and for Laneige, I picked their Lip Sleeping Mask. Now this, I know, is a favorite for many, many people, but This truly is a savior in my family. My daughter gets the worst chapped lips during certain parts of the year, and her lips are made better by this. And I know somebody said like you get addicted to it or your lips get addicted to it or whatever, but her lips have been in some pretty rough shape and this has brought them back to life. So I use this every single night. And every single day as I'm putting on my makeup, this is the balm that I apply to my lips to just make them moist and plump and in a good enough place for a lipstick to go over the top of them, or a lip liner or a gloss or whatever it is, so that they don't look cracky and gross. And this is also a saving grace for my daughter when she gets her chapped lips the way she does. So from Laneige, it would be the lip sleepy mask for me. From LYS, again, I went back and forth between this and a couple other products, but truly, this is a product that shocked me, number one, but also is a product that's a really hard sell for me. So this is their Triple Fix Concealer. This is a full coverage brightening concealer, and I hate concealers, but I love this concealer. I would repurchase this concealer, which is crazy sauce in my mind. It's got a very like almost serum-y type texture while also being full coverage, which is interesting. I also just kind of really love the packaging. It's a triangle instead of a round, you know, thing, so it doesn't roll off the desk or whatever when you're using it. But I really love the LYS Triple Fix Concealer. I am in the shade MN1, and it's a really pretty perfect shade match for me, but it's also just so beautiful on the skin. It doesn't like sink into fine lines and wrinkles. It doesn't exacerbate texture, and it doesn't dry out my under eyes, which is a necessity for me. The next brand I have is Kaja, and there's a lot that I've tried from Kaja, and Kaja I really think is kind of gimmicky, to be honest. I really haven't loved a lot that I've received from Kaja, but I really love this, and this is one of their Heart Melter lip glosses. The one thing that I really don't love about this is that it's got this little clicky thing in at the bottom, and if you click it, you need to use what's there or it will not go back down. So you'll smush it and it'll make a giant mess, but this is the shade of it. And I just love this shade. And for a lip gloss, the opacity of it is much like a lipstick, but it also feels super comfortable. It feels very hydrating on the lips, and it doesn't sink in where you don't want it to sink in, but also as it wears away, it's got a very beautiful like wear away. And I don't find that I need to reapply this as often as I might need to reapply some lip glosses. It's a very long lasting lip gloss, and I think a lot of that comes from it being a stick. The gimmicky part of it is also, it's shaped like a heart. So that's the gimmicky part of it, but it's not super gimmicky, so I don't mind it, and I love this item from Kaja. The next thing I have is Melt, or the next brand I have is Melt, and Melt, for Melt, I have the Digital Dust Blush Duo, and I have just plain old blushes from Melt that are also very good, don't get me wrong, but this one is just such a beautiful blush. This one is in the shade Raw Honey, and you can get a beautiful like highlight and blush from this, or you can mix them together and get just a really beautiful like coral color blush. These are the two separate, and then when you mix them together, this is what it looks like, and it's just so pretty. Now you can go ham with this and end up like just crazy sauce all over your all over your lips, all over your cheeks. So what I have found works best with this is just going in with a really light hand and a really fluffy brush, and that way you don't get too much. It's not so dense that it picks up everything, but when you put it onto your cheeks, it just gives your cheeks such a really beautiful glow. I love these Digital Dust Duos so much, and I didn't try that until long after it came out, and then it was like there were more things, newness on the table. It reminds me a lot of the Bare Minerals bronzers in the way that it just hugs your skin and is luminous and beautiful, but kind of can swing a little bit blushy, a little bit bronzy, a little bit highlighty, if that makes any sense. For Milk, I have the matte bronzer in Baked. This is a beautiful bronzer. Now mine is really dang old and starting to smell. It smells really, really bad, to be honest. It's in my project pan because it needs to go out of my collection. But it's such a beautiful bronzer, and it's got such a nice undertone that I feel like it could go with a lot of different skin tones. And it just blends out super, super easy. There's not a whole lot of like finessing that you have to do with it. And sometimes cream bronzers can be a little more fickle than, you know, powder cream. Anything can be a little more fickle than a lot of their powder counterparts. So you worry about that when you have cream products in your collection. But this is just such a wonderful bronzer, such a beautiful, like almost natural looking bronzer, and an easy application process, to be honest. What I would say too is I've heard a lot of people say that they just go bad so fast. This was a mini when I purchased it, but this is the regular size for Milk products these days. And I think that this is a really great size, to be honest. And this lasted in my collection for almost 4 years before starting to really smell like it was off. So they do last actually quite a long time. I also have a product from Tower 28. These are the Tower 28 lip jellies, and I actually have a mini that was in clear, or it's called Chill, that I finished in my project pan, spoiler alert, but I also have a couple of full-size ones, and I love them so much. They feel like a balm going on. They stay for a decent amount of time. I wouldn't say that they stay forever. I think that this lip gloss you have to reapply quite often, but your lips feel so good after utilizing these lip glosses, and I think they really feel balmy and stay feeling balmy for a good amount of time on your lips. They don't feel sticky, they don't feel thick or anything like that. They're really great balms and are really great glosses, and I love all of the shades that I have. This one I think is in coconut, and I also have another one that's a little bit more brown than this one. I can't remember what that shade name is. What I don't love about these is the smell. Like, this doesn't smell bad, like rancid bad, but it doesn't have the same like vanilla scent that I'm used to with a lot of other lip glosses. So the Tower 28 lip jellies are amazing. And then from Sephora brand, you know, I haven't really tried much from Sephora brand, if I'm honest, but I really love the Sephora brand lip balms. This is in coconut, as you can see, with all the little tiny coconuts all over the packaging, but it's really nice. It goes on really balmy. I do feel like this balm stays on my lips for quite some time, but it's not as drying as like a chapstick or like a what are some Carmex or anything like that. It's a really nice balm. While I don't think that it's healing in any way, I do think that it's a really great balm that does a lot to keep my lips moisturized and plumped, and it smells good and it tastes good, and it does what it's supposed to do, and I love that. It's not super waxy, which I find a lot of lip balms are, so I love that lip balm. This is the Tatcha Silk Canvas Primer, and I am not a, you know, silicone, like putty kind of primer person, but I love this primer. Like, everything that I put on top of my skin while utilizing this primer just looks beautiful. And I had this primer first in a mini, and the mini is super expensive, but so is this guy. I did get this in an IPSY, which I'm super thankful for, because I probably wouldn't have repurchased this primer, to be honest, but it's one of my favorite like balm type or putty type primers. It does have a little like disc that it comes with, and you just scooch the disc across the top of it, and you only use just a smidge bit of it, and I really do find that makeup goes on top of that primer and just looks amazing on top of that primer. I have a few blushes here. So Patrick Ta's blush duos are where it's at. I haven't tried his bronzer duos, and I haven't tried a lot of his products, honestly, but I've tried his blush duos, I've tried his blush singles, I've tried his eyeshadows. I just really love these blush duos. The story is, the first time I used this, and I think this was one of the first times that I had ever used a cream blush and had not had great experience with cream blushes in the past. I used this cream blush, I put it on my cheeks. I fully expected it would be gone within a couple hours, and 10 hours later when I went to wash my face, it was still visible on my face. And at that point forward, Patrick Ta had me. Like, he had me. So I love these blush duos. I think that they are amazing. I swear by them. I haven't used the powdered one very much. I don't 100% love his single blushes, but I love these duo blushes. They're so, so great. Another blush that I had in here was the Pat McGrath Labs, her blushes. I can't remember what they're called. This one is in Flirtatious, and this is one of my favorite blushes overall. I think that you guys heard that in a video that I just recently posted. This is a beautiful blush. It's very minimal, and it looks like you would not be able to see it on my skin, and in some lights you can't see it on my skin, but it absolutely looks natural, flushed, and it just looks like so luminous, even though it's a matte blush. It makes my skin look very, very healthy and sun-kissed without being burnt or tan, or it doesn't, you know, exacerbate any texture on my cheeks. It just looks so good, and I love it so, so much, and I would buy every single one of the blushes in her line, but they're super expensive, so I won't be doing that. And the last blush that I have is this one by Jouer. This is the Jouer blush duo, and this one is in Coquette. So it has Seduce Me and Tease Me in it, which is whatever, but I know it doesn't look like I've used this, but this blush specifically I've used so much. And you know what's funny about this blush is, as I pulled it out to do this video, I was like, this is the tone of blush that I was going for when I purchased that Dior one for my birthday haul. This is the tone of blush. Why haven't I just went through my collection a little bit more? This is such a beautiful blush. It's got a little bit of that pinky rosiness to it, but it's also got a little bit of that mauviness to it. It goes really well with warm eye looks, and it goes really well with cool eye looks. It's just such a versatile blush. And the baby pink one next to it is not bad either. It's just not a color that I pull for often. You can see on my skin, it barely shows up. But when I think about it in terms of the Pat McGrath one that I just showed you, it's probably pretty similar to that Pat McGrath one and the color that I get from that one. So I bet you I would like that one even more these days than I did when I first purchased this. This has been in my collection for going on, I think, 5 years. Jouer blushes are so, so pretty, and I would purchase more. The next brand I have is Natasha Denona, and while I love Natasha Denona and all of her products, I didn't want to do an eyeshadow palette because I don't know if you've noticed, but there's no eyeshadow palettes in here. I really wanted to come up with some other kind of product, and one that I didn't necessarily have in here already, and one that I used and used and used and have repurchased, and that is this. This is the Natasha Denona Foundation X Full Coverage Foundation, and I love this foundation. I do not wholeheartedly believe that this is a full coverage foundation. I think that it's a very high medium, low full coverage, or buildable to decently full coverage foundation. But I always kind of sheer it out just a little bit. I use it in the very minimal amount and get the very minimal amount of coverage because I'm just not a full coverage kind of girl. But I love this foundation. It looks so good on my skin. It is just, it's beautiful. And even at its fullest coverage spot on my skin, it's not cakey, it's not makeupy, it's not heavy, it feels good, it's still breathable, moves with my face. It is just such a beautiful foundation, and I would repurchase it again. I think this is the second bottle I've had in this, and I am in 40N. So Wander Beauty is not a favorite brand for me. Wander Beauty started coming to us in beauty boxes. That's how we all got familiar with Wander Beauty, and it seemed like Wander Beauty was in every single beauty box at one point in time. But one thing that I love from Wander Beauty that I have repurchased, because I repurchased this, is these. And these are their baggage claim gold eye masks. These are so amazing. I very rarely see any kind of difference in my under eyes while using an under eye mask, except for with these. These are also gold and gold fleck, gold plate, gold whatever they are, fake gold. I don't know, but they look so cool on your under eyes. They are soothing, they are hydrating, and I see a difference between my under eye prior to using these and after using these. I love these eye masks, and I will repurchase these boxes as long as I can repurchase these boxes. The last brand that I have is Sol de Janeiro, and Sol de Janeiro Boom Boom Cream happens to be my favorite moisturizer on the planet. This stuff smells so good, but for me, it's not just about the smell. It's also about what it makes my skin look like. For me, it makes my skin look healthy. It also keeps them moisturized for more than just, you know, a couple hours as it sinks in. I feel like my legs are still, you know, my legs, my arms, my whatevers are still moisturized or feel moisturized hours after the fact, but also I can smell this for hours after the fact. And while that may turn some people off, this smells like vacation, and I love it. I've got this one up here. I've also got one downstairs next to my bed. I've also got a little tiny version of this in my car. I love this thing. So with that said, those are the 20 products from 20 different brands that I love so much. And these brands can only be found at Sephora. Unless you go to their own website. So like I said, I did this in 2019 before only it was like 20 brands by 20 or 20 products by 20 brands in 20 minutes. And that was first brought to us by Jen Love. And I have seen this new version of it going around the YouTubes quite consistently over the last several months. I couldn't tell you everybody that's done it, but I will link some channels down in my description box for you to go watch their video on it. I have broke mine up in, you know, different stores instead of different, you know, brands or different kinds of products. So please be watching for a 20 from Ulta, and I also have the hair one. If you guys are interested, I'll do the hair one as well. So with that said, thank you guys so much for joining me today. I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope that you and yours are healthy, and that you guys are all safe and well, and that you are getting along as best you can in this world that we're living in. And I hope that you are all loving each other, but loving each other from afar. And until next time, bye friends.
It is time to take off this lipstick. That's much better. I feel like that's much better. I'm going to put on some lip oil. Oh, that's pink. It's okay. Smells like watermelon. I love it.